another story comes from a time when we were playing a team that had won 19 straight league championships, and they were going for number 20. Frankly, the relationship that I had with the other coach was not a good one because he was a guy who was always trying some sneaky thing. In our initial conversation, he was trying to manipulate me, and I wasn't having anything to do with it. But what ended up happening is we ended up clinching the championship at their facility, winning streak, and we won our first title in 26 years. And after the match, one of the players from that team came to me, and he said very sincerely, "Coach, you guys really deserve to win today. I want to congratulate you because your team played so well, and they're so improved from what I saw from last year, and you guys really deserve it." And then not long after that, it might have been within the next 18 months or so, that young man was killed in a car accident. And I was in my children went to that high school, and I was in the office one day, and I saw a plaque in the office that said, "Such and such a date is this young man's day at the school." So it's a day where they dedicate towards being kind to one another. And that affects me deeply, to know that here's a young man from a team that I don't like, of a coach that I don't respect, and yet he stands alone in his ability to show great sportsmanship even out of that culture that he's in. So I think that's another thing to recognize as well, is sometimes we vilify whole teams and groups of people, but we don't realize, that there are some, good sports in that organization that wish they could be someplace else.
Right. That's a great story. Love that story.
But we can get negative now if you want.
Well, no. I don't want to get negative. I wanted us to. That was exactly what I just said. You told a story that there's great adversity in it. There's negativity to it, but there was positive that came out of it. And I think that shows the character of, it shows the character of an individual, for them to be able to take something that happens to them that they necessarily didn't like, or it was a negative thing that happened, and be able to turn it around and become a positive. I think that just having this conversation and hearing you and talking about this today has certainly helped me overcome already, just in the last 30, 45 minutes, just all the negativity I experienced this past weekend in the championship, and especially in the first half of the championship. But I think you've hit on all those things. I mean, I can literally say, Bill, that what you've been talking about and how you've been expressing it, we experienced these things as a team this past weekend. We experienced, I would go up to my girls on the changeover, and they would be emotionally distraught at what was going on around them. And it was very tough for me as a coach to address it, because we had not experienced it all year. And, it was tough. It was tough because I felt like that they weren't able to hear me, because it was affecting them so deeply. And I'm not sure, how we handle that as coaches, other than we continue to just build our players up. I guess maybe I could have reminded them at the beginning of the match, hey, there may be hostility here, but, because I don't have that mindset myself, I didn't see it coming. I didn't really believe that people could be that hostile toward us as a team, or us as players. I don't see people that way as a person. I don't see people as being, evil, bad people. But the problem is that there are people that have ulterior motives and they want to do whatever they can to help the situation come out in their favor. So,
Can
yeah,
you give the specifics of exactly what were the behaviors that you saw in the other team?
I think that one of the main things, I think the main thing that happened was we're playing all three doubles at the same time. They're all in a line. It's a close quarters environment in a way. There was a tremendous number of fans from the other team. And literally every time my players made an unforced error, there was immediate cheering and yelling and screaming and excitement that my player missed a shot, an unforced error in the net, a double fault. And so it was very disturbing to my players that they're just trying to do their best and someone's actually cheering when they do their worst. So that was the main thing that happened, and that was all that needed to happen to rattle the girls to the point where they literally could not do what they wanted to do. I literally thought that the stage was set where they could not perform at their best. Obviously, it got better in singles because we're distributed, the crowd distributes, and you could visibly see the singles play was much more competitive. Um, had we not, we lost three of the doubles matches, so we had to win five of the out of the six singles, and we were winning four handily, and the other two were on the edge. And once they took that fourth match, it just ricocheted, and the other match they won was super close, but that was all that was needed. So, it was. I think that championship was won or lost in the doubles, and I think it had a lot to do with the stage that was there, that was set, and I was disappointed um, that my girls had to experience something that was totally out of their control. You know, it's one thing to be able to play in a way where you feel like that you can overcome, but it's quite another when you feel like the odds have been stacked against you in a way that is um, it's very difficult to overcome that. I mean, they're young people, they're not adults. They can't just brush it off. Um, and so it was a very emotional experience. And this is not the first time it's happened. It happened 2 years ago with the exact same team. So um, I don't know what to say, Bill. What would you say to a coach like me who's experienced that a couple of times in a row with the same team, same environment? It doesn't happen in regular season, but it happened both times in two championships in 14 and 16. What would you say to someone like me as a coach moving forward, coaching players?
In calling a let. So then, lines person that needs to be addressed from all sides. I mean, part of it is training the players. Some of it is as a coach being an advocate, and then also doing some preemptive action. So we have three courts with lines people. But meanwhile, the number one player on that team is using the F word regularly, and I go to the coach and I said, "Hey, you might want to ask the guy to please stop using the F word." And then also I witnessed numerous bad calls, and I asked some of my players how many bad calls have there been here on this court, and they said, "Coach, it's been like 7 or 8 calls." So we got a lines person. I've never seen a high school match that had 4 lines people on courts, 4 sets, lines people. So we got done with that match, and I wasn't really happy with my team because they allowed themselves to be intimidated by that. They didn't. They stopped fighting for the unforced errors. Please ask your parents to stop. And he did not. And then I went to tournament director and I said, I have concerns about the cheering. I'm not happy. I don't think this is appropriate to be cheering for unforced errors. I mean, of course, sometimes there's a borderline, but every time my players miss, they cheer loud, even for double faults. And the tournament director did nothing. And then I went to this parent who I know works for the USTA, and I said, now, come on. I mean, do you condone this kind of behavior? And she just kind of shrugged. She was embarrassed at that moment. But she just kind of shrugged like, well, I'm powerless. What can I do? So I think there was nothing I could do on the day because they were upset.
Yes.
So I would tell my players, I said right before we'd be talking about the match and we'd be preparing for playing this team. I said, hey guys, here's what we know is going to happen. They're going to try to cheat in some way. We know that. So it's just a matter of what it's going to be this time. So don't get upset. Just play. Meet the person in front of you. If they stack their lineup, okay, they're stacking their lineup. But what they're trying to do is get you upset. We identified that and we said, okay, these people have a confidence problem. They don't believe they can beat you. That's why they do this. Then it gives your team confidence to go, okay, well, I just have to get through the inconvenience and the annoyance of this constant drone of bad behavior and just play my game, which is easier said than done. I mean, I'm not saying that that's easy by any stretch, nor does it use these people for their truly horrid behavior, which drags the game of tennis down. It ruins tennis. It makes kids want to quit. It makes the good kids want to quit so that you're actually left with a higher percentage of bad parents and kids. So I think we have to fight this fight. It is exactly that. It's a fight between good and evil, maturity and immaturity, the value of life lessons and the growth mindset versus a fixed mindset and being willing to stoop to any means to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah, I just have to be a realist, as my daughter always tells me sometimes. She's like, Dad, you love everybody and you think everybody has the good in them, and it's not always the case. I guess, when you grow up and you're not treated that way, or you grow up in a house where it's not happening, and then you go out and you experience something that's completely foreign to you, at some point you got to wake up and say, hey, you know what, this is going to happen. If it doesn't happen, we'll be pleasantly surprised, but this is what we know. This is the information we know about this circumstance, this player, this team, this coach, and we have to prepare ourselves to take up, arm ourselves mentally and emotionally, and go in expecting it. Which is unfortunate, but I guess that's the realism of the way it is today. We talk about high school tennis, and there's not really a lot of severe consequences for obeying the rules.